Today, our topic is what the Stoics believed about happiness. The Stoics were ancient philosophers who lived thousands of years ago, but their ideas about happiness are still very useful today. They believed that happiness does not come from money, fame, or things we own. Instead, they thought that true happiness comes from inside us, from how we think and how we live our lives. The Stoics taught that we cannot control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we react to it. This is a very powerful idea because it means that no matter what happens, we can still find peace and happiness if we focus on our own thoughts and actions. One of the most important Stoic ideas is that we should not waste time worrying about things we cannot change. For example, we cannot control the weather, other people's opinions, or whether we will get sick. But we can control how we prepare for the weather, how we respond to criticism, and how we take care of our health. The Stoics believe that if we focus only on what we can control, we will feel less stress and more peace. This does not mean we should ignore problems or give up trying to improve our lives. It means we should accept what we cannot change and put our energy into what we can change. This is how we can live a good life and find happiness. Another key idea from the Stoics is that we should not depend on external things for our happiness. For example, many people think they will be happy if they get a better job, a bigger house, or more money. But the Stoics said this is a mistake. They believe that if we tie our happiness to things outside ourselves, we will always be disappointed. This is because external things are not permanent. A job can be lost, a house can be destroyed, and money can be spent. If we depend on these things for our happiness, we will never feel truly satisfied. Instead, the Stoics said we should find happiness within ourselves. We can do this by developing good character, practicing self-control, and living with virtue. Virtue means living in a way that is honest, kind, and fair. The Stoics believe that if we live with virtue, we will feel a deep sense of peace and happiness, no matter what happens in our lives. The Stoics also believed that we should not fear difficult situations or bad events. They thought that challenges are a natural part of life, and that they can even help us grow. For example, if we lose our job, it can be a chance to learn new skills or find a better career. If we get sick, it can teach us to appreciate our health and take better care of ourselves. The Stoics said that we should not see problems as something bad, but as opportunities to become stronger and wiser. They called this idea amor fati, which means love of fate. This means that we should accept and even love everything that happens to us, because it is part of our life's journey. By accepting our fate, we can stop fighting against life and start living in harmony with it. This does not mean we should not try to improve our lives, but it means we should not resist or complain about things we cannot change. Another important Stoic idea is that we should not let our emotions control us. The Stoics believe that emotions like anger, fear, and sadness are caused by our thoughts, not by the events themselves. For example, if someone insults us, we might feel angry. But the Stoics would say that the insult itself does not cause our anger. Instead, our anger comes from our belief that we have been treated unfairly. If we change our thoughts, we can change our emotions. The Stoics taught that we should not let ourselves be ruled by strong emotions, but instead use reason to guide our actions. This does not mean we should never feel emotions. It means we should not let them take over our lives or make us act in ways we will regret. By staying calm and thinking clearly, we can make better decisions and live a more peaceful life. The Stoics also believed in the importance of living in the present moment. They thought that many people waste their lives by worrying about the past or the future. For example, some people spend too much time thinking about mistakes they made in the past or things they wish they had done differently. Others spend too much time worrying about what might happen in the future, like whether they will succeed or fail. The Stoics said this is a waste of time because the past is gone, and the future is uncertain. The only moment we have is the present, so we should focus on living well right now. This does not mean we should not plan for the future or learn from the past. It means we should not let these things take over our minds and stop us from enjoying the present. One of the most famous Stoic philosophers was Marcus Aurelius, who was also a Roman emperor. He wrote a book called Meditations, which is full of advice about how to live a good life. In this book, he reminds himself to stay humble, to treat others with kindness, and to focus on what he can control. He also reminds himself that life is short, and that we should not waste it on things that do not matter. Another important Stoic philosopher was Epictetus, who was born as a slave, but later became a teacher. He taught that we should not let our circumstances define us. Instead, we should focus on our own thoughts and actions, because these are the only things we can control. A third famous Stoic was Seneca, who was a writer and advisor to the Roman Emperor Nero. He wrote many letters and essays about how to live a good life, and he often talked about the importance of self-control and inner peace. The Stoics believed that happiness is not something we can find outside ourselves. It is not something we can buy or achieve through success. Instead, happiness is a way of thinking and living. It is about accepting what we cannot change, focusing on what we can control, and living with virtue. The Stoics taught that if we can do these things, we will find a deep and lasting happiness that does not depend on external circumstances. This is a very powerful idea because it means that no matter what happens in our lives, we can still find peace and happiness if we focus on our own thoughts and actions. In conclusion, the Stoics gave us many valuable lessons about how to live a good life and find true happiness. They taught us to focus on what we can control, to live with virtue, to accept challenges as opportunities, to manage our emotions, and to live in the present moment. These ideas are not always easy to follow, but they can help us live a more peaceful and meaningful life. The Stoics believe that happiness is not something we can find in the world around us, but something we must create within ourselves. By practicing these Stoic principles, we can learn to live with more courage, wisdom, and inner peace. This is the path to true happiness according to the Stoics.